I'm 88 years old, and I need to tell you something that will make you uncomfortable. Everything you believe about friendship is a lie, and the people telling you that you need to be independent, that you don't need anyone, that asking for help makes you weak, they're setting you up for the loneliest existence imaginable. I know this because I lived it. I spent 63 years of my life with no real friends. Not acquaintances, not colleagues, not people I smiled at in passing. Real friends. And what I'm about to share with you could save you from the kind of emptiness that nearly destroyed me. But I need you to understand something first. I'm not making this video for sympathy. I'm making it because I'm running out of time, and there are things you need to hear before you waste your entire life the way I wasted mine. Not for me, for you. At 65, I experienced what doctors called acute social isolation syndrome. That's a medical term for something much simpler and much more terrifying. I was dying of loneliness. I had a breakdown in my living room on a Tuesday afternoon, completely alone. No one to call. No one who would notice if I didn't show up anywhere. I remember the exact moment it hit me. I was sitting in my armchair, the same chair I'd sat in for 20 years, watching the news, eating dinner from a plastic tray. The same routine I'd followed for decades. And suddenly, the walls started closing in. My chest felt like someone was standing on it. I couldn't breathe. My hands went numb. The room started spinning. Panic attack, the ER doctor said later. But you know what it really was? It was my body screaming at me that I had spent 65 years building a life with no one in it. My body was rejecting the existence I had created. And the worst part? I couldn't even explain to the paramedics what was wrong, because there was nothing medically wrong. I was just unbearably, devastatingly alone. I sat in that emergency room for 6 hours. They asked for an emergency contact. I didn't have one. They asked if someone could pick me up. There was no one. They asked if I had family nearby. My parents were dead. My brother and I hadn't spoken in 15 years. They asked about friends. I stared at the form. That blank line mocked me. The nurse looked at me with this expression I'll never forget. Not pity, something worse. Recognition, like she'd seen this before. Like she knew exactly what kind of life leads a 65-year-old man to a hospital with nobody's number to call. And lying on that gurney, listening to other patients talking with their families, their friends visiting, bringing flowers, making jokes, asking about medications, showing concern, I realized something that shattered me. I had convinced myself that I didn't need people, that I was strong because I was independent, that I was better off alone because people were complicated and relationships were messy. But the truth, I was terrified of them, and I had been running from connection my entire life. Here's the lie you're probably telling yourself right now. I'm fine on my own. I don't need friends to be happy. People are exhausting. I'm better off alone. I'll make friends later, when I have more time. I'll be more social after I'm more successful. I'll open up when I meet the right people. I'll invest in friendships when I'm less busy. I'll reach out after this project is done. I'll be vulnerable when I feel more confident. Let me save you 63 years of regret. That moment never comes. You know why? Because isolation becomes a habit. It becomes your identity. It becomes your comfort zone. Every single year you spend alone makes it harder to let people in. Every time you choose Netflix over showing up for someone, you're practicing isolation. Every time you cancel plans, you're reinforcing the pattern. Every time you keep things surface level, you're building walls, and you build them so high, brick by brick, year after year, that eventually you forget they're even there. You convince yourself you're choosing solitude when really you're just afraid of rejection, afraid of vulnerability, afraid of being truly seen. I told myself I was independent, strong, self-sufficient. I was really just scared. Scared that if people knew the real me, they'd leave. So I left first. I left before anyone could reject me. I turned down invitations until people stopped inviting me. I kept conversations surface level until people stopped trying to go deeper. I canceled plans so many times that people stopped making them with me. I built a life that looked successful from the outside. Nice apartment, stable job, respectable career. but was completely hollow on the inside. And here's what haunts me the most. I had opportunities. So many opportunities. People reached out, people tried, and I pushed every single one of them away. You think you have time to work on this later. You don't. You think you're young enough that friendship will just happen naturally someday. It won't. Every day you spend isolated is a day you're reinforcing patterns that will trap you for life. You're practicing loneliness, and you're getting really good at it. You're building neural pathways for isolation. You're teaching yourself that being alone is normal, that connection is optional, that you don't need anyone. I see people your age doing exactly what I did. Canceling plans because you're too tired. Saying you'll reach out tomorrow. Convincing yourself that online interactions count as real connection. Telling yourself you're just introverted when really you're just afraid. Working late instead of showing up for people. Staying home instead of being uncomfortable. Choosing familiar isolation over scary vulnerability. Scrolling through social media instead of actually connecting. Texting instead of calling. Liking posts instead of showing up in real life. And you know what's terrifying? You don't even realize you're doing it. It feels like you're just being practical, just being busy, just taking care of yourself. But you're slowly, steadily building a prison of loneliness. And by the time you realize you're trapped, the walls are so thick you don't know how to break through them. Here's what nobody tells you when you're young. Loneliness isn't just emotional pain. It's physical. It destroys you from the inside out. It weakens your immune system. It increases inflammation. It raises your blood pressure. It damages your heart. Studies show it's worse for your health than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But I didn't need studies to tell me that. I watched it eat away at me for decades. The insomnia, the depression, the anxiety, the physical aches that doctors couldn't explain. My body was breaking down because it was designed for connection, and I was starving it. I had a neighbor named Robert, nice guy. Lived in the apartment next to mine for 12 years. We'd wave occasionally, exchange pleasantries about the weather, the building maintenance, the traffic. Surface level stuff. Nothing real. He kept to himself. I kept to myself. That's what we told ourselves we were doing. Keeping to ourselves. Like it was a virtue. Like it was a choice. He died alone in his apartment. It was 11 days before anyone noticed. 11 days. Think about that. A human being dead in an apartment building full of people for 11 days. The mail piling up finally got the landlord's attention. They found him in his living room, sitting in his chair, remote control still in his hand. He'd been watching television when his heart stopped. I think about Jennifer from the apartment down the hall, who invited me to Thanksgiving dinner 7 years in a row. 7 years. She had this big family gathering every year, and every year she'd knock on my door with this genuine smile. "We'd love to have you. You shouldn't be alone on Thanksgiving." And every year I said no. All lies. I was just scared. Scared of being around happy families because it reminded me of what I didn't have. Scared they'd see through me. The 8th year, she stopped asking. She moved away 6 months later. I never even said goodbye. She'll never know that I think about her kindness 2 decades later. That I wish I could go back and knock on her door and say yes just once. I think about my cousin David, who called me every month for 15 years, trying to stay connected. Every single month, like clockwork. He'd call on Sunday evenings. I always kept the calls short, made excuses, acted like I was too busy. I treated his persistence like it was annoying instead of recognizing it for what it was. Love. He loved me. He was trying to maintain our relationship despite my complete lack of reciprocation. And I took that for granted. Eventually, he stopped calling. He died 3 years ago. Heart attack, 59 years old. I didn't even know he was sick. Nobody thought to tell me. Why would they? I had made it clear through decades of behavior that I didn't want to be involved. I wasn't at the funeral. I wasn't invited. His kids don't know me. I was family in name only. And here's the cruelest part. By the time you realize what you've done, it's too late to fix most of it. Michael? No idea where he is now. Jennifer? Lost touch completely. David? Dead. All those opportunities I had, gone. Those people moved on with their lives. and I'm left with decades of regret and a handful of what-ifs that keep me awake at night. After my breakdown, everything changed. I had to rebuild my entire life from scratch. At 65. Do you know how hard it is to make friends at 65? It's humiliating. It's terrifying. Everyone already has their friend groups, their established relationships, their history, and here I am, an old man, essentially asking, "Will you be my friend?" Like a kindergartner on the first day of school. But I didn't have a choice. I was going to die alone if I didn't do something. The doctor told me that social isolation was killing me as surely as cancer or heart disease. I had to change or I was going to die miserable and alone. So I joined a community center, forced myself to show up twice a week, even though every fiber of my being wanted to stay home. Sat through the excruciating discomfort of small talk with people I didn't know. Showed up consistently even when I wanted to hide, even when I felt awkward, even when I was sure I didn't belong. I said yes to lunch invitations even though my instinct was to say no. I went to group activities even though they felt forced. I attended community events even though I felt out of place. I shared things about myself that scared me, my divorce, my estranged family, my decades of loneliness. I let people see my vulnerabilities instead of hiding behind my walls. I admitted when I was struggling instead of pretending I was fine. I asked for help even though it felt like weakness. I told people I was lonely even though it was embarrassing. And slowly, painfully, one awkward conversation at a time, I built what I should have built 60 years earlier. Real connections. People who know me. People I can call at 2 in the morning and they'll answer. People who check on me when I don't show up. People whose lives I'm actually part of. I have Marcus now, who comes by every Tuesday to play chess. We've been playing for 18 years. He knows about my failed marriage, my estranged brother, my career regrets. I know about his daughter's addiction struggles, his own demons, his fears about aging. We've sat in comfortable silence. We've had deep conversations about life and death. I have Sarah and Tom from my building who include me in their Sunday dinners. They introduce me to their kids. They ask my advice. They include me in holiday celebrations. They've become the family I never built. I have a whole community of people at the senior center who would notice if I didn't show up, who ask how I'm doing and actually want to know. We play cards, we take day trips, we celebrate birthdays, we support each other through losses. We show up for each other. What matters is ridiculously simple. Being present for people. Showing up consistently. Being vulnerable even when it's scary. Saying yes even when it's uncomfortable. Investing time in relationships like they're the most important thing in your life. Because they are. Asking for help when you need it. Offering help when someone else needs it. I know what you're thinking. But I'm busy. I'm an introvert. I don't know how to make friends. And yes, relationships take energy. Yes, they require effort. I'm not saying become someone you're not. I'm not saying you need 100 friends. If you can't name 3 people right now, you're in trouble. And you need to fix this before it's too late. Not someday, not eventually, now. Because here's what you don't understand yet. Life gets harder. Loss is coming. Grief is coming. Sickness is coming. And when they come, you will need people. You will need someone to call at 3 in the morning. You will need someone to sit with you in your pain. And if you've spent your whole life keeping people at arm's length, they won't be there. Not because they're bad people, but because you never let them in. I'm 88 years old. If I'm lucky, I have 5 more years. I lost my wife 4 years ago. We were only married for 12 years. I didn't meet her until I was 71, after I'd already started rebuilding my life. When she died, I had people to call. I had Marcus sitting with me in the hospital. I had Sarah and Tom bringing me meals. I had my community showing up at the funeral, sharing memories, supporting me through grief. I wasn't alone in my pain. And that made all the difference. These last 23 years have been the richest of my life. Not because I achieved more. Not because I made more money. Because I finally stopped isolating myself. Because I finally let people in. Because I finally built the connections I should have built my entire life.